Welcome to the Michael Singer podcast, presented by Sounds True, in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information about Michael Singer's work, access to all prior episodes, and information about upcoming releases, we invite you to join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com.
Jai Masters. We'll talk about something this morning that you all like, and you all think I don't like, but it's not true. It's just such a total misunderstanding, and that's this law of attraction thing. You like that, don't you? All right, let's talk about it. One thing that inspired me this morning, I read a quick little blurb on the web about Michael Caine, the actor Michael Caine. You all know of him, very, very famous. He used to play on Broadway in plays and now famous in the movies. It tells a very quick story that he told that he was supposed to, when he was young, he was supposed to play a part in a play that was from a famous book, but it was a rare book. And he wanted to read the book instead of just read the script for the play. So he was in London, in England, and he looked at every bookstore he could find, and he could not find that book. It wasn't there. And so he went down to the subway, what do they call it, the tube, went down there and was going to go home. And he sat down on a bench to wait for the train to come. And there was a book sitting next to him that someone had left. And it was that book. And I told you a story the other day. It wasn't when most of you were here. I don't usually talk about my stuff, but I did talk about it in the surrender experiment, that when I was very young, early 20s, I was a hippie boy, had an old VW van, and I lived out here alone in solitude. I was doing that part of my life. I go into town sometimes, and there was a hitchhiker hitchhiking up 13th Street, and I stopped to pick him up, and there was a picture of Yogananda stuck in my dashboard. And while we're driving, he was going up to Atlanta, just drove a short way up to the Hague Road, and he was going to the expressway. And we talked a little bit. He asked me some questions, blah, blah, that's it. Let him off. Okay. That was probably 1973. I would say in the early 90s, the company had grown sufficiently where Blue Cross of Massachusetts asked me to go up and present the package to them. They were thinking about private labeling it. So I went up there with a non-hippie mode and had my little coat and tie on and went about my business. But I still, when I travel, which I don't do anymore, I was very strict. I like to eat properly and so on. So I didn't eat it all day. I was just traveling, and it was just junk food, and I don't want to do it. So when I landed in Boston, I went to find some food. I only wanted some simple food. And I ended up in Harvard Square, which I'd never been before. I hadn't been to Boston, and drove around, and I couldn't find anything. I was about to give up, and I don't know if any of you know Harvard Square, that area of Boston, not roads, there are these aisleways, very narrow, that you walk down. There's stores and buildings on both sides, but you can't drive down them. And I got out, I was walking around, kind of disappointed, kind of yelling at God, give me some food. And I looked down just enough I could see down that little alleyway, and I saw a little sign that said, "Today's special, brown rice and veggies." And I walked down that way. I said, "Thank you, God. It's amazing that you just suddenly I'd park here and this would be sitting there." And I went downstairs. It was like a student place, and walked down in a little outside walkway. And it was a small place, maybe 10 tables, little, nothing. But I was grateful, and I got my brown rice and veggies. And I thought, what an amazing coincidence, the law of attraction, right? I'm sitting there. I'm about to finish, and I felt uncomfortable because the person who took the maitre d' that took the money at front kept staring at me. Wasn't uncomfortable. And when I went to get my bill, he came to the table. It was him. He brought the bill to the table. Sat there for a minute, and he looked at me and he said, "Are you Mickey Singer?" Hadn't written the book yet. Hadn't done anything. And I said, "Yes." And he got real quiet. He said to me, you won't remember me, but I was hitchhiking through Gainesville a long time ago, and you picked me up and gave me a ride in your van. And I was on my way to Atlanta. I was having a hard time in my life. And I walked by a bookstore and I saw a copy of Autobiography of a Yogi. And you had talked about that book and about Yogananda on that little 3-minute ride 20 years ago. And so I went in and I picked it up and I read it and it changed my life. And I always felt that I wanted to thank you. Thank you. And he walked away crying. Want to talk about the law of attraction? What's the probability? Anybody? Okay. All right. What's that all about? And how do we take that? You know me. I'm very grounded. I'm a Taurus. I don't talk about mystical things. Okay? How can that happen? Is it coincidence? That's ridiculous. Those are not coincidences. What is it about? Okay, we live on the planet Earth in the midst of all these stars and galaxies that are made out of atoms. I've given you a talk, and I won't get into it because I do it often enough. It's not really made out of atoms. No more than saying that ice is ice. Ice is made out of water. Water is made of H2O molecules. Atoms, we now know, emanate from this quantum field. They're like vibrations, electron, neutron, and protons. Actually, further down, quarks, and I don't want to get into the technical, all right? So atom is not the smallest element. There are things that make up atoms, electron, neutron, and protons. There are things that make up neutrons and protons. And so they've gotten all the way down there in quantum physics, and they found out that there's really not a physical plane. There's nothing physical about it. Nothing solid about it in any way, shape, or form. It's little wavelets in a field, and those wavelets have properties. Like magnetism isn't a thing, but it has a property. And they have properties. And those properties are such that they join each other together. And that makes up, two up quarks and down quark make a proton. Two down quarks and up quark make a neutron. Doesn't matter if you understand what it is, but they've been down at that level where there is no matter, there's nothing. Yogis used to say it's made of light, it's made of vibrations. They have found that. That's what the quantum physicists, the bottom line of the standard model says that it's not made of particles. There are no particles. There are wavelets that behave like particles. And then they put themselves together, and here you have the physical plane. Very good. Newsflash, this ain't the only plane. What do you mean? Well, the vibration rates, which like your electromagnetic spectrum, goes from one end to the other, and your colors are all vibrations and colors and heat. They're all part of a spectrum. It doesn't stop there. Why would it stop there? It's an infinite universe. That is just the limit that our instruments can measure. Like they didn't used to know about ultraviolet. They thought it was just up to infrared or something like that. Then they found instruments, they developed instruments that could pick up these much more subtle vibrations. Do you know how subtle the instruments that we have created can pick up? Forget about breaking apart subparticles. I worked with an astrophysicist at the university. I'm not an astrophysicist, but we were building a telescope to find exoplanets. And he developed the instrument in the basement of the university. He was a genius man. And he explained to me that the way they find an exoplanet, these are light years, hundreds of light years away, okay? And they're tiny. They're the size smaller than the Earth. How do you find such a thing? They have instruments. He developed an instrument that was sensitive enough that when the light came back from the star that planet was circling 100 light years away, they didn't pick up the planet. The fact that the planet had mass caused a gravitational effect on this giant star. It went around, and the star warbled as the planet went around it. They picked up that. Can you imagine how subtle that change in the light wave because of the warble of that star 100 light years away? The instrument was sensitive enough to pick that up, all right? So we've developed some very sensitive instruments, but not sensitive enough to go beyond what we think is the electromagnetic spectrum, okay? Of course it goes past that. There's no reason. I told you, the universe is infinite. There's no limitation to it. So we have not picked up the higher planes, and there are higher planes, period. What are the higher planes? Those which are more subtle than the physical plane. Can they interact, these planes? There was and I don't push it. We have a Sai Baba here. His name is Shirdi Sai Baba, one of the great masters of India, all right? There's a more recent Sai Baba, Satya Sai Baba. Right? He had an afro. Very interesting. He died recently. Okay. Very beautiful soul, very, very popular in India. But don't mix up the Sai Babas. But in any event, he had a power of manifestation. God, I never talk about this stuff. Too bad. Hey, you like it, I know. He had a power of manifestation. What does that mean? He could take his hand, take an empty vase. Anyone could look at it. They did. Scientists, everybody looked. Empty vase. Put his hand inside the vase and do this. And ash would come, I don't mean a couple of ashes. A tornado of ash would come flying down all over the floor, called vibhuti. What was it called? Vibhuti? Vibhuti, all right? Would come flying down onto the floor. He could do it anytime he wanted. He did it all the time. He used to say, like, masters aren't supposed to do miracles. He used to say, I give you what you want, the miracle, so you give me what I want, your ego. Okay. So how does that happen? I don't even find it difficult to talk about in any way, shape, or form. It happens exactly. I'll give you a miracle, okay? There's mist, vapor. It's a humid day, mist, vapor. I have a hidden, really, really concentrated cold instrument that can blow really cold air. I will draw ice cubes out of the air. Watch them fall. Can I do that? Can anyone do that? Because all the ice cube is that vapor frozen. All it takes is cold to make invisible vapor. Boom, boom, watch out. The sky is falling. Okay? Now, is that a miracle? If you don't know science, it's a miracle. He'll blow you away. That's all he's doing. When he does this, the Shakti, he's in tune with the Shakti. You can get in tune with the Shakti. I teach you how to. You let go of your ego. Man minus mind equals God. You let go of the personal ego, we'll discuss that. You will feel Shakti pouring through your being all the time. It comes out of your hands, comes out of your chakras, everything. It's all real stuff. Why don't you feel it? Because you're busy feeling you. If I'm staring at that picture enough, I don't see you guys. Why? You're here? No, you're not. You're staring at your mind. You're staring at your heart and your mind. People may beat it out of the heart. Yeah, it's better than the mind. Try not staring at either one and find out who was doing the staring. Now you went somewhere. Okay? You're a very, very great being. See, the highest thing that ever walked the face of the earth, these stupid little things called miracles. You're way beyond that. That's who's in there. The trouble who's in there, the consciousness, is staring at this junk you built in there called your mind, your ego, your desires, your hopes, your dreams, your values. They're yours. You know how small they are? How small are your thoughts? They only are about you. You hear me? So you're taking the infinite universe of consciousness and staring at this tiny little stupid thing. There's 8.3 billion of you guys staring at theirs. You're not staring at anybody else's, are you? That's how much you've limited your consciousness. Take a breath. Like in the 60s, we talk about expanding consciousness. No, stop contracting it. Don't sit there and contract it and try to expand it. Stop staring at yourself, and you're going to find out who you are. But you can't find out who you are if you're busy staring at this tiny little thing. When you stop staring at you, you start to feel more of the universe. Why? You are part of the entirety. In fact, you are the universe. That which is staring at you is something else altogether. Christ said, my Father and I are one. That's true of you also. Why don't you know that? Because you're staring at you. He wasn't staring at him. He had let go. But it is that infinite consciousness that is staring at your stuff. And therefore, all you see, you only see what you're conscious of, right or wrong. What do you know that you've never been conscious of and ever exposed to? Absolutely nothing. Does it exist? Yes. Not for you. Okay? So you've made it so that the only thing that exists for you that is capable of experiencing everything, simultaneously everything, is this stupid little mind and this stupid little heart. Sorry, I said it. Is the heart higher than the mind? Sure. Is it anywhere? No. That which feels your emotions, even love, is way beyond love. It is the source of love. It is the cause of all things in the universe. You are a very great being, the consciousness, but you're limiting it to staring at junk. That's what you're doing. So basically, you have limited yourself to this physical plane. You care about this body. What's it made out of? Quantum waves. It's made out of atoms. Fine, sure, it's important. But it has nerves. Yeah, they're made out of atoms too. You limited your consciousness to the physical plane. How? By staring at the physical plane. You don't just stare at your body, do you? You stare at the outside physical plane that you receive through your senses. That makes up your universe. Well, it's limited to the physical plane. Is it limited? No, it is not limited. Period. In any way, shape, or form. You're an infinite being, and you're capable of experiencing everything, literally everything. That's what enlightenment is. We'll discuss that as we go on. But right now, stay focused that the reason you don't feel Shakti, if you don't, all right, you'd probably do some, you wouldn't be here. But anyways, that you don't feel the higher vibrations that are beyond the physical plane, it's because your consciousness is married to the physical plane. Why? Because you said so. Nothing's holding it there but you. Your consciousness is 100% distracted by your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and what you see through your senses. Did I cover your world? But I have my memory made up of what those experiences you had before. So your entire mind, your entire ego, your entire self-concept, your entire world is made up of what you experience physically and what you come in through your senses physically. And therefore, you only know the physical plane. How does one know more than the physical plane? By stop doing that. All right? And as you stop doing it, to whatever degree you do, you will start to feel a higher vibration rate of energy. And we call it Shakti. And yogis call it Shakti. And there are chakras. I don't talk about the chakras. Very rarely do I ever, right? I want you to know them, not because you studied them. You're welcome to. Okay, you know their colors, how do they spin, and who's their god and goddess. That's just wonderful. Do it. It's better than staring at yourself. At least you raise your consciousness to something beyond the stupidness that you spend all your time with, all right? You can feel the chakras. They open up. You feel them. You feel them close. You feel them open. You feel the energy pouring out the different centers of your being, like beams of light. You're a great being. Why don't you feel that? Because you're busy staring at you. Now, as you stop staring at you, little by little, meditation, yoga, letting go, surrender, whatever you want to do, you will start to feel this energy pouring through you. Sometimes just a little bit, and sometimes just waves. Masters feel waves and waves of the Shakti pouring through them. It's real. That energy is higher than the physical plane. When someone like such as Sai Baba waves his hand, when you wave your hand, the Shakti comes flying off your hand. That's what he's doing. That's what Sai Baba is doing when he does this. He's doing that, changing the vibration rate the same as you could change mist into water, into ice. The higher vibrations have complete control over the lower energies. If I tried to prove it to you, you'd think I did a miracle. You want to see a miracle? I will prove to you that unseen energies that scientists don't even know about have the ability to affect the physical plane. Ready? There. Did that glass pick up itself? What force? Gravity? The scientists say there's 4 fundamental forces. Gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear, and weak nuclear. Doesn't matter if you understand them all or not. Which did that? Nuclear? I don't think so. Magnetism? No, didn't do it. Gravity? Gravity picked it up? Oh, wait a minute. You're smart people. That was matter. That has mass. That has weight. What picked that up? My inner force that they say isn't there. They didn't list that as one of the forces, did they? Isn't that amazing? He's a physicist. He knows what I'm talking about. Is willpower listed as one of those forces? Did I use willpower to pick that up? Did I have volition and decide within myself to pick that up? How did that happen? Because the higher vibration rates, and you're the highest. Your consciousness is the highest vibration rate there is. There's nothing higher than consciousness. When it focuses, it emanates Shakti, it emanates will, it emanates power. That's what you call will. You don't even think about it. You do it all the time, don't you? So you're no different than Sai Baba. You're changing the physical plane using a power that's beyond the physical plane. Do you think it's weird? Do you understand that the truth I'm talking to you about? Nothing's mystical. Nothing's weird. You're just not paying attention. What's psychokinesis? The ability to move the physical plane without touching it. Okay? That's all they're doing. They're emanating the same power, but they've developed that power greater, right? And they bend a spoon or do something else. It's all real, but it's not miraculous. How about healing? How about healing? Can there be touch healing? Is it a miracle? Of course it's not a miracle. If you're thirsty and I have water and I give you the water, can I cure your thirst? Oh, I see. So if I have energy, healthy energy pouring through me, pouring out my hands, the healers use hands, pouring out my hands, and I touch you, it's the same as putting water in your mouth. I'm feeding energy to you. I'm sharing energy with you. Why would that not help you? See, that's why I'm talking about this stuff, because you all think it's weird. You all think it's mystical. You all like it. You think that's spirituality. It's not. It's physics. It's metaphysics. All of it is perfectly explainable, perfectly understandable. You will come to a point in your growth where you'll walk down a hospital corridor and you'll feel the energy pouring out the palms of your hands into the rooms as you walk by. It's who you are. You're a being of light. You're just staring at junk. So you can't be open enough to allow the energy to go beyond focusing on yourself. So every one of you are capable of all this. Should you be a healer? I want you to go higher. I want you to be enlightened. Back when Amrit used to come visit, so you know Amrit Desai. My wife Donna used to get cracks in the cold, cracks in her hands. The tips would split. She had bandages all over the hands. One time when Amrit came to visit here, back in, must have been 76. And we were just walking with him. He wasn't doing anything. And he held her hand. Didn't say a word, didn't do anything. The next day, there was not one mark on her fingers. Now, you could say, wasn't he humble? I know him enough now to know he didn't do anything. It's not like he said, okay, I think I'll heal her, look, and I'll just hold her hand so she doesn't know I did it. That man, he's just a high dude. And so the energy's there, and he didn't purposely do anything. That's who you are. It's not mystical. It's just stupid that you're paying attention to this lower part of your being and you're completely engulfed in that. How does she feel? Or what did somebody say? Come on. All that garbage is distracting your consciousness so that you're lost in a very low part of your being and in a very low plane. So when this happens, it's the same, his ability to change the vibration rate of the higher plane to lower it down. He's not raising it, he's lowering it, okay? I've heard, I didn't never see it. I don't know. There are people who went to see him and saw some of his real beauty stuff, but he's not alive anymore. But there was talk, I heard people say that knew him, that he manifested a diamond ring for some of the disciples that are getting married, right? It wouldn't matter what he manifested. There's just energy at the higher plane that's subtler than what you pick up. And the Shakti has the ability to change the energy, same as I have the ability to pick up that glass. Are you with me? Do you understand? It's not mystical. It is, like I said, to go from infrared to ultraviolet, they said it didn't exist. They never found it. It's not there. And all you did have instruments picked it up. So you are wise people. You should understand consciousness is the tremendous highest power of the universe. It created the universe. They don't know what the quantum field is made out of. They know when it gets agitated that it makes this. Yogis know. It's made of consciousness. Ultimately, it's made of consciousness. It's just a vritti, a vibration in consciousness created the universe. It's called God. One infinite universal. The yogis talked about God manifest and God unmanifest. Savikalpa, Nirvikalpa, Samadhi. Thousands and thousands of years ago. What does that mean? The field before it vibrated, that's unmanifest. Buddhists call it the void. All of this stuff is not so weird. The field before it vibrated, it's just consciousness, being, total peace, highest state, unmanifest God. They call him Brahma, unmanifest. This is the entire tradition of yoga, okay? Then a vibration, it vibrated within itself. That they call the Om, the original vibration. That's why that's such a powerful vibration. It vibrated. I'm telling you, that's the end of they tell the story. Now quantum physicist picks up. That really, give it that vibration, sort of vritti, or in the mind, that vibration, and your quantum physicist said, oh, give me a vibration in a field, I'll build the physical universe out of a vibration. Literally, they could call it an agitation, a vibration, an activation, just something, like a drop of leaf into a pond that's totally still. What happens? Makes ripples. They can take those ripples and build the universe. Right now, they know how to do that. They've built these super colliders to break. Come on, isn't that pretty amazing? Well, how would the yogis have known that thousand years ago? Because it's you. You are that consciousness. That's what they did sitting in the caves instead of building instruments. They went back and found out the source of consciousness, the source of their consciousness. And when they did so, they merged with the universe. Because your consciousness not staring at you is God. Man minus mind equals God. That's Meher Baba. They all taught the same thing. When you stop staring at you, you find out who you are. Muktananda's Baba. Meditate on the self. Honor and worship your own being, for God dwells within you as you. Meditate on the consciousness that's looking at you. Somebody sees your mind, don't they? Do you have thoughts? How do you know? Shut up. I don't want your thoughts answering that. You do have thought. Do you have emotions? How do you know? The answer is very simple. Because I'm in here and I'm a conscious being. And that consciousness is aware of emotions. Which ones? All of them. What's the difference between love and hate? Nothing. Different vibration rate. You're staring at something different. What's the difference between a spoon and a fork? Nothing. Their form is made of the same metal. Okay? There's just a lower vibration. A lower vibration in the emotional plane is negative. A higher vibration is positive. There's just spectrums of vibration rates. And you know it. You have the ability to pick them up. Can scientists pick up your emotions? Really, they're playing with it. Can a machine pick up every emotion that you have? Can they pick up your thoughts and know exactly what you're thinking? Yes or no? No. They don't have the ability, do they? That's just a higher vibration rate. Someday they will develop instruments that can do that. And I will be gone, and I'm glad. Because then we will have thought police. It's just vibration rates, different vibration rates. And consciousness is the cause of the vibration and is experiencing the vibration. I'm going to cry. It's all one. You've heard that. It's all one. There's no duality. It is consciousness that's vibrating within itself that then it gets put together and makes this, and it is consciousness looking into it. That is you looking at you, but you don't see it as you. So there is no mysticism, there is no weird, there is no anything. It's just all different vibration rates of God. It's all God, including you. What's this body made out of? Scientists will say the quantum field. Well, they don't know it yet, and maybe they won't ever know it. You ask a quantum physicist, fine, you talk about the vibration, the activation of the field. What is the quantum field? They say, I don't know. How would I know? We're supposed to explain what we see, how it happens. We see that form exists, and we see that it's not made of particles. It's made of wavelets. It's made of light. It's made of, energy, call it whatever you want. But we don't know what the field would be if it wasn't vibrating, because we wouldn't be here. Well, yogis went back to the consciousness itself and merged. And they became the universe. Read Yogananda's chapter, My Experience in Cosmic Consciousness. He said, I literally fell in. The galaxies were my body. Every galaxy was my body, just like I feel my body now. Every galaxy was my body. I was expanding at the speed of light in all directions. That was my being. That's who you are. People talk to me, what about aspirations? Well, maybe we should set one pretty high. Now I want to be a doctor. I want that kind of car. I want to be rich. Oh, he's famous. What are you, crazy? That's all within this tiny little framework of this stupid little world of a planet spinning around the middle of nowhere. I told you, 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. And the sun is one of 300 billion stars in one galaxy. And there are 2 trillion galaxies. What do you want to be? Where did you set your aspiration? You're a very great being staring at something that's not so great. What are you staring at? The sum of your learned experiences. Take a breath. I don't have to lecture long with this stuff. It's so simple. What is going on in your mind, your ego, your superego, all that is the sum of your learned experiences. What you want and what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, the sum of your learned experiences. And how much experience have you had on this tiny little planet, one of 8.3 billion people on a planet that 1.3 million fit inside a star, and there's 300 billion stars in one galaxy? How much experience have you had so far? You are missing 99.99999999999% of what's going on. But you're the sum of your learned experiences. It's nothing. I told you, it is called statistically insignificant what you have experienced in any given moment. If you miss 99.99999, you know what's going on in the field right now? You know what's going on behind you. You just know what's picked up with your sense at any given moment, and you're missing everything. That's humility. Humility is not, well, I'm great, but I'll act humble. No, humility is, it's nothing. Why would we even bother having an ego? Right? Nowadays, you just talk about ego a lot. We see a lot of it running around now everywhere, don't we? People think their ego matters. You understand that? Who exactly are you? In what country? On what planet? In what galaxy? Give me a break. You're nothing. And somebody wrote me and said, but when I think like that, I get depressed. Of course you get depressed because you've been living off your ego. You've been living off something you built in your mind that said, I'm important and you should treat me special because I'm special and don't talk to me like that. And you know I don't like when you do that. I matter. You made this thing up in your mind and now you're saying that's who I am. It is not who you are. You're the whole universe. And you're limiting yourself down to this tiny little person. It's so small, it's ridiculous, isn't it? So humility is not something you make yourself be. It's real, but it shouldn't make you depressed. It should make you free. If you're still staring at the ego and it's saying, oh, I'm nothing. I'm not worth anything. Look what he told me. That's how you get depressed because you didn't inflate your nothing into making you believe it's something. Imagine if you didn't have all those stupid thoughts going on in your mind telling you that you're this tiny little person that needs everybody to be the way you want them to be and everybody has to think the way you want them to think and do what you want them to do, right? How would you like to get rid of that and be free? Liberation is not having a big ego. Liberation is you stop staring at the ego. So it shouldn't make you feel small. It should make you feel big. You make yourself feel small by staring at this tiny. How can you get across how small that thing is? It's the sum of your learned experiences, which are nothing. You missed everything, every moment of your life. You missed everything all around you and on the planet and everywhere else. And now you sew those together. What do you get? Nothing. All right? And you're staring at that. And you're only one of the 8.3 billion of those, and they all think they matter, or they want to anyways. No. Freedom. I used to teach, freedom is not freedom for yourself, it's freedom from yourself. Take a breath. And we are still standing on the physical plane. I started talking about it isn't limited to the physical plane. What's heaven? This is a higher plane. Where do you go when you die? A higher plane. There, I said it. Why? Consciousness doesn't die. It's always been, I told you, they asked Mayor Baba once, who are you? And some of these guys he's an avatar. He's seated in that state at all times, right? They knew it. They felt that. Who are you? He said, I was in the beginning before all else was created. I will be in the end after all else falls away. There was never a time I was not. There will never be a time I will not be. Okay? My Father and I are one. Sometimes I like to read some quantum stuff that people ask questions to quantum physicists, right? Somebody said, well, if the Big Bang happened and it created all of this, the quantum field, everything like that, what was before that? And I love it. Even these scientists, wow. You know what their answer was? There was no before that. The universe is infinite and eternal. It has always existed. That's just what Mayor Baba said. There was never a time I was not. There will never be a time I am not. There's no edges to it. That is who you are. That is what your consciousness is made of. That's not what you stare at is. It's transient. It just comes and goes. Some of you learn experiences. But you in there, you were never born, you will never die. That's where a master goes. That's becoming self-realized. That's what that word means. You realize who's in there, not what it's looking at. You realize who's in there looking, not what it's looking at. And that means your thoughts, your emotions, your body form that comes into your senses. Those are what you're looking at. Who's in there? That's self-realization. That being is beyond all the vibrations, is into the cause of all vibrations. Now, your ego can take that. Mickey said I was the cause of the universe. I started this by saying we would talk about the law of attraction. All right, let's touch it for a minute. I told you, is there such a thing? Of course there is. There's law of manifestation. There's law of attraction. There's all kinds of things. What exactly, if you were to use the law of attraction, would you be trying to attract to yourself? Something that your ego thinks it's missing. So you mean that law of attraction is keeping you from God, not getting you to God? That's right. To me, I don't really mean it. I'm being extreme. I can make people do what I want. Just give me a gun. I can make things be the way I want. Just give me a mantra. Oh, attract a wife. 2 kids. Healthy, always healthy. What are you doing? You're building your ego. You're sitting there saying, I'm the creator of the universe. You are. And then people say, but aren't I the creator of the universe? Yeah, but not that you. Not that you. No, sir. That's the problem. Do you understand that? The cause of all wars, the cause of all evil, the cause of every single thing that is wrong on this plane is because of that ego. That ego is built out of the sum of its learned experiences. It thinks it's important. That's why I think it's hilarious. And it wants to get its way, doesn't it? Well, so does everybody else. Ever notice? So we got 8.3 billion of you out there running around, some of your own learned experiences, and nobody's ever had the same experience as you. And so you develop what you like and what you don't like and what you want and what you don't want and what you believe in, what you don't believe in, what you hope for and what you dream inside that little nothing. And everybody else did that too. And now you see the world you see. The ones with the most money get to tell you what's going on. It's just ego. It's just ego. Oh my God. Out there forcing, and they don't know they're nothing. They think they're something. Christ knew he was nothing. Buddha knew he was nothing. What did Christ say? He who is the least amongst you is the greatest. He who is last will soon be first. It's like, right? You must die to be reborn. What do you mean? You have to die of the ego. You have to die of staring at yourself in order to become who you are, which is God. Nothing's mystical. To me, it's all very logical. It's just we're busy being stupid. We are. If you stare at something and you think that's your universe and you build all kinds of hopes and dreams and concepts and views and beliefs out of that, why did you do that? Stop staring at that and your universe becomes infinite. So these are the realities. So the law of attraction does work. Of course it does. Just like I said, law of manifestation works too. You can do all kinds of stuff. And, Mayor Obama taught, someone once asked him, evolution, spiritual evolution, reincarnation, spiritual evolution. Does anybody ever go backwards? And he said, it's very rare, but yes, if you misuse your powers. Not because you're stupid and you mess stuff up. Then don't worry. Do the best you can. But if you have powers and you misuse them, like Hitler did, or these beings that obviously they have power. They're successful financially. They're successful control. They're not powerful people. If they misuse that power, what does that mean? They use it for themselves. They use it to get for themselves. That's a misuse of power, right? If you have power, you're supposed to help others. You're supposed to use it to raise the world, not to get for yourself, okay? So basically, we are all great beings. We all have power of manifestation. We all have power of attraction. And the reason you don't hear me talking about it as a tremendously positive thing, because it builds the ego. That's who wants things. You don't want anything. You don't need anything. Now, there's another line in the Bible, Master's favorite quote from the Bible, Yogananda, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. That does not mean do a mantra and all things will be added unto you. Pray to God and all things will be added unto you. No, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. That's not like pray to God so you get what you want. Did it say that? No, it said seek ye first beyond you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Raise your consciousness beyond you. So this whole thing of attracting to yourself what you want, fine. I know you're going to do it, and it's wonderful. Here, as I look at it, if you can't get what you want, you get depressed, Just do what you can to get what you want. I don't want you depressed. But if you're capable of understanding what we're talking about, of how great you are, and letting go of that stupid ego that's full of its needs and wants and concepts and views and hopes and dreams. Are hopes and dreams spiritual? No. I'll check you out. What do you hope? That things will be the way I want. What are your dreams? That someday my ship will come in. It's still you. It's still tied down to this tiny little concept that you are this thing, this little tiny little animal running around the planet Earth. You're not. Your consciousness is way beyond that. So, yes, have hopes and dreams. I will not take them away from you. Please have them. I can tell you right now, a great being has no such thing. There are no needs, not psychological. There are no psychological needs. I get a lot of trouble for saying this stuff. There are physiological needs, food, clothing, and shelter, very minimal. There are no psychological needs. Don't let them tell you that. You're a social animal. You need all kinds of things. No, that's not true. You're God descended, and you're filled with ecstasy at all times, and you're welcome to come down and share that ecstasy with others. Do you need to do that? No. Do you need to have people respect you? Do you need to have people like you? Do you need to have money? Do you need things that make you feel important? No, you're God. You're the highest thing in the universe, descended down to play, and you got caught. That's the fall from the garden. The tree of self-knowledge. You got caught up in the concept that I am separate and I am me, and this is my personality, and this is what I like and what I don't like, this is my body, and this is that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now what does it say when you fall down from the garden? Now you must work by the sweat of your brow to be okay. Know anything about that? You're not going to get what you want by itself, not just come there. You have to go do it. Ha, ha, ha. You let go, and then these things you call miracles, like the story I told in the beginning with Michael Caine or with my visit to Boston, they just happen. Why? Because you're not in the way. Because the universe is a phenomenal place. You think nothing will happen unless you make it happen. You make your heart beat. You make your breath go in and out. Oh, you make your cells divide. You have 35 trillion living cells within your body that give you a body. What do? You make your liver work. You make your brain think. You say, I thought that. That's ridiculous. Yes, inside you had an inspiration, but you have this thing called a mind that was given to you as a gift. Get Alzheimer's and see if you make it think. It thinks because it's there. It has an ability. You try as hard as you want. Ever have a spacey day? Ever have a spacey day? Forget Alzheimer's. Have you ever had a spacey day you couldn't remember anything? Did you try as hard as you could? Well, if it's not doing that and it's coming up, are you making it come up? No, you're gifted with all this stuff. Do you make the rain fall? Do you make the plants grow? Do you make the earth orbit? How can you tell me that things don't happen that are good? Every single thing happens. It's a phenomenal place. It's incomprehensible what takes care of itself. Like everything. It's unbelievable what's happening, right? You're not doing anything. Do you understand that? You're saying I'm doing something because I'm screwed up and I want things because I don't appreciate the body that was given to me, the mind that was given to me, the heart that was given to me, the world that was given to me. Every single thing was free, was given. Did you create everybody else? Did you create the universe? No, it all was just given to you. But you're so spoiled that you don't appreciate everything that's given. I mean, you could go into ecstasy appreciating that your spleen exists. It's a very important thing. I think it cleans up your blood flow or something like that. When was the last time you said thank you? You have everything, but you screwed yourself up by not appreciating it, and therefore you're closed, and you built this ego that said, I'm only okay if I get what I want. Some people say that I yell at you when I talk to you. I am yelling at you. That's what your ego says. Your ego says, I am okay if everybody else is the way I want them to be and I get what I want. If you're not the way I want you to be, I'm not okay. And if I don't get what I want, I'm not okay. That's paying no attention to everything you're given. Some people say, no one ever gave anything to me. Oh, really? Everything is given to you. It's incomprehensible. But the ego's so big that no one ever gives me anything. It means what I want, what I decided I wanted. If it stopped, you wouldn't be here. If the earth stopped supporting you, if the quantum field stopped emanating, vibrating, forget it's all gone. If the atoms stop holding together, if your cells stop dividing, I don't have time to talk about all the things. Did you know that there's a sun in the sky, this hot star that evaporates water from the ocean, that's filled with salt, by the way, evaporates water from the ocean, and it coagulates into clouds, and those clouds get blown across the dry earth, and then they drop the water from the ocean, and therefore you have plants. It's called an irrigation system. The Black Forest is not by the sea. There's no water there. You're given nothing. You're given everything all the time, incomprehensible. But the ego is so big, you stare at it so much that you think giving means I got what I want. And you think your dreams are spiritual. What are your dreams? I don't have what I want. I dream I will get it. Don't be embarrassed. That's just ego too. The truth of the matter is you are a great being, but you don't feel your greatness because you've limited yourself to staring at something that's not so great, which is your ego, the sum of your learned experiences. And now you're out there trying to get what you want to be okay. You're way beyond okay. So this thing about law of attraction, yes, and by all means, you are where you are, and you got to be there. You got to start where you start. But don't you set your aspirations at getting a car. That's a joke. Or getting a nice relationship. You're so far beyond that. Be appreciative you have a body. Be appreciative that there's people. Be appreciative that the creation exists. Be appreciative that there's a planet that you go hang out on Mars for a while. Go on. Don't kid yourself. The whole universe is made of that. Burning stars and black holes. And you get this? And you think you got nothing? Holy mackerel. Wake up. You're way greater than this. But if you stare at that ego, you're not. You're just what you stare at. So you have to learn how to let go of yourself, and that becomes the entire spiritual path. So the spiritual path is not about getting what you want. It's not about attracting to yourself what you want. It's not about making things be what you want. It's understanding you're way higher than that. How do I let go of staring at myself so that I can know who I am? And that becomes letting go. That becomes surrender. That becomes not my will, but thy will. Say it any way you want. Seek your first thing in God and righteousness, and all things be added unto you. Yes, they will, because they already have been. Every moment of your life, you're given 99.9999999% of anything you need. But you're hung up on that 0.001%, aren't you? And so the universe, God created the universe to express himself and then came down. It makes me literally on the verge of crying to tell you who you are. You know who you are? This field, the infinite, eternal field that was always there, that is everything throughout all the galaxies so far away, like how big that is, right? Vibrated, like you make a dream out of nothing, vibrated and created the entire universe, not just the earth, all of it, and is living in all of it. However, in order to experience it, what he made, he descended down, focused down. That's the garden. Looked down into the garden so that he could walk around and see what he made, see the beauty of the plants and the people and the animals and all the things. That's Adam and Eve in the garden. That's God descended walking around. They did not identify themselves as separate. They were just God using the senses created. That's who you are. You are the emissary of that force descended down to see the part of the universe that it created through your eyes. That's who you are. Someday you will realize that. No one sees what you see. You're at a different angle. You're looking. No one has ever seen what you saw. That's the meaning of your life, to allow the divine that created its creation to experience its creation. The Bible's amazing. That fall from the garden in Genesis, that's serious stuff. Well, how come it's not like that? Because you tasted of ego. Because you looked too close. What was happening in the garden when God was walking around calling Adam? Adam, where are you? Well, Adam and God is all the same. I don't understand, right? I'm hiding. There you go. How do you hide from God? How do you hide from who you are? I'm hiding. That my favorite part. He stood up and God said, what is that around your waist? A fig leaf. I put fig leaves on fig trees. What's it doing around your waist? Ready? The deepest of all the teachings. What did he say? I was naked. What is naked ego? Every animal's naked. There's no naked. Understand that? It's just ego identified with itself as the body, and it wanted to cover itself, enclose itself, and hide itself. There it is. And from there, it's downhill. You do it all from the state of I. So these things that you call mystical are real. All of it's real. Yes, there's many planes. What does the Bible say? Isn't it funny? I'm a nice Jewish yogi. I read the Bible once in my life in 71. And when I talk, it just comes back. All right? In my Father's house, there are many mansions. Right? And so, yes, you do what you need to do to have you be okay. I want you to be okay. Unless you're okay, you're not going to be okay. Right? You can't reach for higher things if you're starved. So you take care of the basics, but understand, if you don't focus on yourself, it all changes. If you focus on yourself, then your whole world becomes about yourself. Just keep letting go. Just do the best you can. That when your thoughts are causing trouble, notice that's my ego. Relax, let go. When your emotions are causing trouble, that's my ego. I'm not getting what I want. Somebody said something I don't like. Somebody didn't say something that I wanted them to say. Well, you're really picky. And then all these emotions get weird. Relax. Just keep relaxing. Be the one who notices it instead of thinking I have to change it. By the way, a great being doesn't use their power to make the universe inside or out be the way they want. They've used their power to accept the way it is. Do you have to stop the world from being the way you don't want it to be? Or can you be okay with the way it is and come back and try to help it? I always teach you that. It's about honoring, respecting the way it is. It is the result of all these people having the sum of their learned experiences. And they all had different experiences than you. Therefore, they're different. Fine. That's your starting place. Can you handle that? You better. So you can accept and honor and respect the reality. Now what? Now that you're not screwed up by it, you're not afraid of it, you can't not handle it, you can come back and help. So that's what real power is about. It's the power to accept, not the power to manipulate and change so it matches what you can handle. Do you see the difference? All right, very good. So we had a nice talk, rare talk. I don't generally talk about such things as higher planes and laws of attraction and all those things. But we did get down to what's the core, and said it done, let go of yourself. You're a very great being. You're the whole universe. All right, work on it. Jaggedive.
You've been listening to the Michael Singer Podcast, produced by Sounds True in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information on Michael's body of work and all back episodes, please join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening. Sounds True, waking up the world.